Well, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, my friends, and I know you're there from all over the world. I love being here on Friday nights and hanging out with intelligent people who actually have the wherewithal to ask questions when some things are put into our face that aren't necessarily adding up. And of course, this week has been very interesting because we had the big bombshell from, again, George Knapp talking with Travis Taylor, uh, that he is allegedly the chief scientist for the UAP task force. This is huge news, and it would definitely, you wonder what sort of conflict of interest is there. You wonder all sorts of things. I wonder personally, as somebody who spoke with Dr. Taylor, I have no doubt he is a brilliant man. I actually really enjoyed hearing him speak. But for me, when I ask the chief scientist of the UAP task force what they're doing to alert communities, the community around the ranch, and local and federal authorities that there are these dangerous levels of radiation, ionizing radiation, that are affecting people on Skinwalker Ranch and are bleeding outside the gates. I asked him what they're doing about that, and I said this on last week's show. And yes, what they're doing about that is the TV show. So if that is truly the case, then we should be very concerned about the whole program. And unfortunately, for those of us who understand that there is something that merits study, many, many red flags are popping up, and this isn't it. For me, and I also was reading someone's Facebook or Twitter post about the hearings in Brazil and in Latin America, and they were questioning some of the things because I guess they're talking about all sorts of things that are off the rails. So again, here you have a good subject, like I said, worthy of study, and here you have people, for whatever reason, inserting their narrative into it to either discredit the subject or to push us away from the truth that we deserve. We deserve the truth. And I believe that this is not how we're going to get there, by supporting unverified claims, by promoting stories that are hoaxes, by believing somebody because they're really super nice and they talk to you on Facebook or Twitter. And I don't know. We've got to do better than this. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody. Alien Girl, hey, you guys, Lord Ludicrous, Amy, everybody here. Oh, and of course, and now we have the dogs going crazy. But I want to thank all of you guys here. It's never a dull moment at the Erica Luke's broadcast. But I want to thank all of you guys, and I want to thank my new Patreon supporters. You guys mean the world to me, and I really appreciate it, because I couldn't do this without you. I mean that. There are definitely costs to keeping the show on the air, archiving, doing research, and as a small business owner recovering for COVID, it's definitely challenging, but I love you guys. And I also want to say thanks to Crypto Dino Beaver. I love the way you get in there and give people a hard time. And clearly some of them fold under pressure. Shocking. Hey, Phil, good to see you. And all of you guys, I love you guys. Renee, yeah, thanks for being here. And Jim, thanks for staying up so late every time for UFO Classified. So tonight is going to be a fun night. And I, just talking to my guest before the show started, I have a feeling this will be one for the memory books. As we know, the Travis Walton abduction case is one of the best, it's one of the most well-known abduction cases of all time. And that case has affected a lot of different people. What transpired back then has affected a lot of different people for decades. And each of them has differing views on what happened. But I want to bring on Steve Pierce because he reached out to me. And Steve, welcome to the show. But first of all, I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for reaching out to me. I was very surprised and happy that you did that, and that you had a level of trust in me.
Do a couple other ones, but I didn't feel right about going on their show, so I told them no, thank you, and you know, because too many people are swayed to this side or this side. and all you're interested in is what really happened.
I
You know.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, like we were talking about before the show started. I mean, you like this has affected all of you, and this has been most a majority of your life.
Oh,
You
thank
were
you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. But yet you're here. And I just want to say, I want to go back to, I want to learn more about you as a child and I want to learn more about your upbringing. And so, can you just share with us, where you grew up, what your background was, give us information about, your family, your mother, and everything, if you don't mind.
Well, I grew up in Mesa, Arizona. I guess you could say I'm a desert rat, and uh, we lived in the same house with the same school until my dad died when I was 15, and then we moved back and forth to Texas, where my mom's from, and 2 years we moved like 4 or 5 times. I was a new kid in town every couple months.
It must have been
uh,
hard.
yeah, and then we went to Snowflake where my grandparents were at because my mom's family lives in Texas. My dad's family lived in Arizona, and so when my dad died, she went back home, you know, and then we moved. She moved us back to Arizona, and that summer of '75, she moved us up there after school was out because we were running the poor woman ragged. Imagine being a single mom with 5 boys from 17 to.
That would be special.
and so she moved us up there outside of Snowflake. Um, there was no electricity, no running water, and there's a bunch of Pierces out there. From there's probably like 7 or 8, just ranging from 17 to 13, and we were all living out there. And because my uncle had a house next door too, it was a big old family thing, and um, we lived out there for the summer, and then we had to go to Windmill, take a shower, and then um, we moved into Snowflake, and I think it was September, because my mom was tired of living like Daniel Boone, and so we had a shower, running water, and then she was really getting mad at me because I was 17, either go back to school or go to work. And I didn't really want to do either myself. So um, uh, what, got any questions so far?
So, I mean, so you're 17, you don't want to go to work and go to school, and I think that sounds like every 17-year-old on the planet. And so, I mean, here you are, you're 17 and you did decide to get a job. And so what
No, not
happened?
really. My mom actually, um, I had two relatives that uh, um, I didn't know none of these people when I moved into Snowflake. I knew Dana. Dana was the first one I met. You know, I met her at the Circle K with one of my relatives. Then I met her at a football field one night, and that was the only time I ever seen her. But anyway, I didn't know her. I didn't know none of these people until October, right? And it was the end of October, and then um, my two relatives came into town and was they wanted to take a shower because it was the weekend, and said that this guy named Mike Rogers is hiring. He needs some help. So my mom says, "Well, will you hire him?" He goes, "Yeah, you hire him." I said, "Well, tell him." My mom hired me on the spot, I guess. But well, Monday came and we met him out there, um, and then uh, it was on a Friday. We went out there, and my relatives decided to quit the Friday before because they could cut firewood and take it down to the valley and sell it, you know, because Mike wasn't paying. And so they quit, and another guy quit. And um, um, so it was Friday, and they left early because they told Mike, you know, we're not going to work no more. And another guy went back with, you know, because my relatives had their own transportation. And that night was the first night I ever rode back to town with Mike. So the following Monday, I tried to get my mom to get me to quit, but over the weekend, but she she wouldn't let me quit. He'll pay you. He'll pay you. Okay. At this point, I know who Mike Rogers is, uh, Kenny, but I've never talked to the man. I just saw him at work. I still don't know the man. Um, Alan Dallas and Travis Walton. Okay. That Monday morning is when I met. The following Monday is when I met John Goulet and Dwayne Smith, Herman Munster, and so that Monday we all met there, and um, because we met behind Mike's house, and then I don't know, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, but him and uh, Travis Walton and Alan Dallas was were fighting over a girl. I don't know if it was Dana or somebody else. I don't know who it was,
And I
but
heard I read what you wrote, and you were talking about the kung fu fighting, and
yeah, yeah, that's when Alan Dallas did a roundhouse and he fell down. It was great. I loved it and I laughed. Then we went to work, so I only spent like 3 days with John and Alan. Okay, not Alan, but Dwayne. I knew Alan more than anybody else. Okay, well we all loaded up. We went to work, did our thing, came home, and then I think the Wednesday when we went out there, I when you go out there, you know you just pick a bush if you had to go to the bathroom, right? Well, I'm doing my thing and I feel something biting me and I'm on a wasp hive, right?
oh,
Wasps are swinging on. You see that pictures of me when I'm wearing those sunglasses? Those are wasp bites on my face.
wow.
Well, anyway, I'm running towards John, right? And I'm pulling one pants up and trying to, swat the wasp away, John's over there
Wow.
laughing and he cracks up when he hears that story. But anyway, um uh I've told the story so many times. How do you want me to tell it?
I want you to tell
The
it.
way it's written on the no, we can let everybody read the story on my story. If they want to friend me, they can read you know what I
Right.
mean? We
No,
leave stuff. We leave stuff because you know everything. You read my book.
right, right, right. And I
Well, it's
think,
not my book, but what I wrote on my Facebook.
right. And so I
Um,
think, I mean, just tell tell this, like, because you have said that this is your last interview, and you're done. And so tell this story with everything in you, like this is the last time you are on public record talking about this, and express to us the emotion and everything that you felt in that time with what happened.
oh, well, it's lunchtime, and me and Alan's going around. He's really bad since my relatives ain't around, and we were arguing, and uh, it was over a girl. But anyway, I was dating a girl that worked at Circle K, the one I married, and he was really mad because I was dating her and he couldn't get her. And so we were arguing. Then I said about something about Dana. And then he told me that's when he told me this is the day I found Dana Rogers. Her name was Dana Rogers. Um, Alan goes, that's Mike's sister. That's Mike's sister. I didn't know that. Well, at this time, Travis gets kind of mad and walks off to the truck and stays in the truck all day. We all go back to work because Mike's not standing there, neither is John. They're off over visiting each other, doing something by the truck. It was just me and Dwayne Smith and Alan Dallas and because we got stoned at break. We had a thing called a sneak attack. Mike used to get pissed when he catches us. Hey, I didn't have a chainsaw.
Comforting.
You're the one with the chainsaw. Those things are dangerous too.
Right.
I have an uncle that the chain came off of it and wrapped around his chest back in the 70s.
Wow. Oh
I
God, how
hate
sad.
chainsaws. I haven't touched
Wow.
a chainsaw since 1976. I learned how to drive a truck. It's a lot easier. Then you don't have to deal with nobody. You're out there by yourself all the
Right.
time.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's strange that me and John had the same profession, huh? We don't see each other for years. 30 something years, me and John don't see each other. And we did paranormal witness and 10 years ago. And then he got contact through paranormal witness through a lady. And she emailed me and said, hey, John wants to talk to you. And we've been buds ever since.
Wow.
And he's a long haul truck driver too.
Interesting. Okay, so go back to those moments. Go back to that day when you were there
Okay,
and what
we're loading up, right?
right.
Um, um, we all get going and get going down the road, and we see this bright object over to the right, and we can't really tell what it is. And excuse me, and we get closer, and this thing's hovering in the air. Okay, it's just hovering there, and then it starts rocking back and forth. And Travis gets out. He doesn't run up there, and he doesn't run. And I've never changed my story, people. So you guys quit saying that I changed my story. I've never changed my story. When Travis gets out, he runs to the right. He never goes underneath it. Okay. And then I'm not saying a word. I didn't say nothing for days. Everybody says, oh, you cried, you did this. I was in shock. I didn't say nothing. The day of the courthouse, I never said anything, you know. And they came after me and well, we'll get to that in a minute. But well, Travis gets out and I seen it move. I don't know if I was stoned, that was some good weed or what, but it started rocking back and forth and a blue screen light came out and it zapped him. Okay, now we have made jokes about he went 15, 20, 30, 50, on other shows. But I, in reality, I think he only like fell back,
Okay.
you know, you know what I
Okay.
mean? And um and people, said, well, he said he fell 15 feet. Well, we were on shows joking, you know,
Right.
and I didn't have a tape measure there anyway. So how would I know exactly how, did I run out there and tape him,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So he falls back and uh, uh, that's when I said they got him. And uh, we take off. And when we took off, Mike started to pick up. Then we took off. And when we took off, we went down the road a little bit, ran over a lot of stuff, and when we stopped, okay, we all get out. I'm still not saying nothing because they're not going to listen to me anyway. And as I'm getting out, I look up, I see something take off. I don't know. if it was a falling star, it would just, happen at that time, when I looked up. And Mike's on the ground. Mike's the one involved. If this was a hoax, he's a great actor because he fell on the ground and he bawled for. And people said, "Well, what took you so long to get to town?" Well, we was waiting for Mike to quit crying. Well, anyway, John and Kenny wanted to go back. Uh, Me and Alan didn't like Travis anyway, so we didn't care one way or the other. But we were going to stay with that truck wherever that truck went anyway. I
Right.
was going to stay with that truck until I got back to Snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back and we went looking for him, and we're all lined up. And we got one flashlight, and we got our nerve back now. But anyway, we're all lined up, and Herman Munster, Dwayne Smith, guy, I had problems with him the last 3 days of stacking. This guy was so tall, it took him a day to bend over, and um, and then he wasn't doing his job right, and Mike was jumping on me about it because he didn't want to say nothing to this guy because this guy's, I mean, you see how tall he is,
Mm-hmm.
but he couldn't catch me. Well, anyway, um, we all get back in the pickup and we go back and look for him, and we can't find him. And as we're looking for him, uh, we go through this pine tree, and I pull on a branch, and Dwayne Smith is behind me. Boom! I slapped him right in the face. And so we're at it again. Me and Dwayne's at it again. Mike tells us, "Knock it off. We're looking for Travis." uh, so we couldn't find him. And then we went to town, and there was a phone, I don't know, a building with, but um, that's when Kenny got out and called, and they told us to meet them farther up where the gas station is. So we met them, and a couple cops came, and uh, eventually the sheriff came. He looks us around and stuff, and uh, um, couldn't find nothing. So he said that Mike had to go back, and then uh, Alan Dallas volunteered, and Kenny Peterson volunteered, and me and John and Dwayne went back home, you know, and they told us not to leave town. And then the next morning, when they were looking for him, the cops were at my door, and I could hear them talking. So I crawled out the back. I went out the back window. No, I went out the back door first time when the cops were there, and I grabbed my boots and out the back door I went, and it was a trip. It was
I
a
mean,
trip.
that must have been. I mean, you're 17 years old. You don't really have knowledge of the people that you're working with. You know,
I
you're
don't know none of those people. No.
and
But
so and you're out there and something happens. And was your initial thought like when you were seeing, because I've heard different descriptions of what was taking place. There was a fire. It looked like there was the hills were on fire. There were different things. What when you saw the light? I mean, what were your thoughts, and how quickly did
there was
that?
no fire. I don't
Okay,
understand where people get that. It was solid white. It was solid white with a bluish green beam that came out of it. And it was below the tree lines, but you know, the tower thing.
yeah.
My uncle thought it was the tower. 2 days after um, this happened, I was at that tower. We're looking for Travis. We were looking all over, the area. But I want to talk about this.
Yes, but I just wanted, like, and you're
There's
referring to the
stuff in here,
tower.
people, that isn't true. Okay,
Okay.
Mike Rogers have told so many lies. I don't know which one to believe. and I got John Gillette's backing on this. Okay, this book, 5 days. That's what I'm after. The 5 days. Travis doesn't need to be telling our story anyway. Travis has never asked. He never believed me. Um, I told him years ago, hey, that ain't what happened. We didn't draw straws. That ain't the reason I went first. They wanted me. Oh, they didn't want you. Um, Mike said this, and Mike said, well, Mike's full of shit. Well, when Paranormal Witness came out, the guy that took the polygraph test, um, he even said that they took me first,
Because you were
because
right,
I wasn't saying nothing. I was the youngest,
right,
you
right.
know. They said, well, he wasn't saying nothing. He wasn't saying nothing, so he figured I would crack under the pressure, you know. And that's why they took me first. And then uh, just right here, they talk about even more about me, saying that they came after me. Well, Travis won't change this book, saying that, and there's a few other things in there. Like Mike said that we chased down some truck. John said this and John said that. John, we never said that. I want the book changed. And as far as Travis' experience, people, I don't know. I wouldn't ask. I can't tell you if he was, if he would, do I believe him? I believe that he believes. He believes. That makes sense.
Right. Well, and
I don't believe him.
I mean, and I just have
I've
to go,
never believed him.
and I just have to go back, and I really appreciate your candor and your honesty uh, with this because like I said, I know this has been, and I just think that you guys have all been through a lot, and this has been decades. And I want
Well,
to go
I
back,
appreciate.
I want to go back to your mom, and I want to go back to the religious aspect of, like right
me
after.
being a me being a holy roller.
Well, I mean, but like right
See,
after.
I don't believe this had anything to do with aliens.
No, but I want to go back
I
to like what your mother said to you right after all of this was taking place because I mean, obviously she's afraid for her son. She's afraid of what is going to happen. And so tell me
oh,
what
my poor
happened.
mom.
Yeah. Tell me during
I
that
feel
time
sorry. I
period when
felt
you're
sorry for her.
17, what
I
happened? And
put that poor woman through hell. And, um, if Mike would have came to my house that night and told my mom what he told his mom, what he told Travis's mom, my mom would have shot him off the porch. She would have never believed that. And I always thought when he took the cops back to uh, uh, after they searched for Travis that night, Mike took whatever cop it was, I don't know, to the Travis's mom's house. Well, his mom lives in Snowflake, and Mike told me a while back he didn't take her to. She was at a cabin a few miles from where Travis was at. Kind of strange, huh?
right. And why do you think that would be?
Huh?
Why what are your thoughts on why that would be the
I don't know. I've
case?
been trying to figure that out because Mike,
So,
I've caught him in so many lies. I mean, I can prove more what I say than Mike and Travis put together. Well, Travis can't prove anything. It's only thing that keeps him alive is the witnesses. You know, he can't prove that he was. You know, I don't believe. I would never believe this had anything to do with aliens. I believe I believe he was in Area 51, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But there's a lot of things that makes you wonder if you were somebody looking in from the outside the box, looking in, you think, there's a lot of stuff that's, the tower, you
right,
know,
right, Gentry
um,
Tower, right.
that tower looks pretty good at nighttime. You ever seen it at night?
I've seen pictures of it. Thanks to Ryan Gordon, he put some great photos out of that. I mean, and so I mean, what is your thought on that? Because obviously you're
Huh?
what I mean, what is your thought on that? Because obviously your uncle was exploring that aspect as well.
Yeah, he thought it was the tower, but when we were there, it didn't light up. He says, "We need to come back when it's dark, so it lights up." And I told him, "Nah, I really don't want to be out here in the dark."
I bet.
Uh, but I did see it. I seen it um about 25, 30 years ago. I went there by myself and to look things over, and yeah, I saw it lit up.
And what do you think?
It's above the tree lines.
So could that be dependent on where you
And
were, though?
Mike's like did a lot of bullshit, and I guess because he wanted to be famous and wanted the book to be look really good, you know what I mean. But there's one thing that he can't escape. How do you pass the polygraph test? See,
How
that's
did
that's the only thing that keeps me hanging on.
so how did Mike pass the polygraph test?
Yeah,
Well, I think
if this was a hoax, how did he pass it?
so I think with the polygraph test, from what I understand, is they were asking questions about the disappearance of Travis and
No, the
potential
fourth question.
murder.
The fourth question. I'm talking about the fourth question. The fourth question says, "Did you guys actually see a UFO?" And we all passed it.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, either he's, I don't, I just want the book changed. I just want the book changed because I'm not going to say Travis wasn't there. He wasn't there because I wasn't there, so I can't say. But I can guarantee you I was there the 5 days he was gone, you know?
And let me and I want to go back and talk about that specifically because that 5 days was very pivotal. And you are, I mean, here you are, you're 17 years old. You're seeing, you're witness to something that could potentially end up in somebody being murdered. And, here you've got federal agents, you've got different people coming to your door, and your mother is very religious. What was your mother's advice on all of this?
Um, well, she wanted me to pray a lot. You better ask forgiveness. I didn't do nothing.
And
I don't
so
know.
did she tell you not to
She
talk
met
about
she
it?
met Philip Class.
Oh, yeah, and we're gonna talk about Philip Glass because we're gonna get into some other your other experiences with all of this because 'cause you've had a lifetime full of really cool things. But I wanna really, like, now focus on so your mother she was afraid for you, she was concerned for your security, she was afraid of, if there was the potential that this was a murder investigation, she wanted you to do the right thing from my understanding, and so
Oh yeah, she talked to Gillespie every day on the phone. She knew everything that was going on in 5 days. That you know, and that polygraph test. You see the copy of the polygraph test that's out there. She's the one that got those. Those are mine. They got on the internet, and once you get put something on the internet or Facebook, it's everybody's.
uh-huh. And so
So
did she so you decided to so, like, there's a picture of, everybody holding, like, the National Enquirer check. That was a big thing, like, where you were not in that photograph, correct?
because I thought they were selling themselves out.
Okay. And so describe that.
Huh?
Describe how that all came into play after Travis was found. And let me just ask you this too, like, when Travis was found, who was the first person to tell you that he was alive?
Do what now?
So when Travis was found, who was the first person to tell you that he was alive?
My mom.
And what did she say?
She said that they called and or somebody got a hold of her and said that Travis was alive, but he's in. They think he's in Tucson in a hospital. So everybody thought he was in Tucson, but actually I think he was in Phoenix.
And what were your thoughts? then on
about
that
him
when you
being
heard that?
alive for my mom. For my mom, yeah, I was glad he was, you know, because right before that, we got me and my brother got accused of robbing a bank, and we didn't even rob it. So we put that poor woman through hell.
And so you learn the news, and you're, just obviously thinking like, what's going on anyway? I'm 17, I'm, out there, and then I'm involved in a murder investigation, having to undergo a polygraph and all of this stuff. And then, your mother is obviously very concerned about you, and she's very religious. And I mean, you learn he's alive. And then when did you hear from Travis after all of that happened?
um, it was a couple 3 weeks, a month. It was a little ways, you know. I can't remember exactly, but I only saw Travis 4 times after this happened. I didn't invite none of them to the wedding, and I had a big wedding in Snowflake.
And that happened in a very,
The
as you
last time,
mentioned, short
last
time
time I
span.
saw Travis was, I've seen him since the last 10 years since I came out of the closet. But John hates it when I say that. But anyway, I've seen him then. But the last time I saw him back in the '70s was when we were taking those pictures from the hard hats, and everybody's wearing the same hard hat. And then the last time I saw Mike, I still ain't seen Mike. Um, I was moving to Texas, and I went over to his house and see if he had any money, and uh, he was taking apart a pool stick and put it in the case, and I grabbed the case and walked out and left, and that was the last time I saw him. I took his pool stick because he didn't have any money, and then that's the last time I've seen Mike. And Kenny, I can't even tell you when the last time I saw Kenny. Alan Dallas, I saw him in the county jail in the '80s before he died. He We sat there and we talked about it all night, and uh, but he went back not to look for Travis. He went back to face his fears because he was trying to dig his way through the floorboard when it was happening. And well, he finally got up and he got beside me, and I was right there. And so he went back to face his own fears. He didn't go back to look for Travis. He didn't like Travis.
Why do you suppose that was? Did he ever say?
Huh?
Why didn't he like Travis?
I don't know. Travis was the kind of person that went to a party, everybody else laughed.
Well, that's, it's doesn't
I,
help.
I said that to National Star when 7676. I was in a hospital in Sholo, and one of my kids were being born, and National Star is looking for us. Man, they got me trapped in the hospital because I was hiding from people. I didn't want no interviews, and um, they trapped me, and we did an interview, and I don't know if you remember National Stars, but they're like National Enquirers. When you open
Mhm.
them up, they're huge.
Yep.
Well, when you open the page up, my picture was on one side, Mike was on another, you know, and
Wow.
it was huge. And then when I went to my first conference in uh, with David Sinet, God bless his soul,
Yes, yes.
and that right there is signed to David.
Wow.
You knew David?
I did.
He's a good man, wasn't he?
He was a very great man, and I just have to just throw this in here because I didn't at the beginning of the show, but we did in the UFO world lose a really wonderful man, Bruce Whitteman. And unfortunately, and I want to do a show about Bruce, but we've lost some amazing people. And Dave was wonderful to reach out to me when he did, and he gave me a great uh, CD from Ted Phillips on Marley Woods. So yeah, it is very sad. So
So where was I?
well, I don't know. I completely ruined your
Now
flow, but
there is a lot of evidence if you look at it, but like Charlie Weiser, the woman from Australia,
mhm.
um, she came up with got that thing on her Facebook saying that the tower and everything. Well, I don't know. I I've heard about the tower my whole life, so there had to be some good weed. It would have to all be stolen if Mike was driving around looking for a place to. and word and I don't know. And then uh, what's his name? Travis calls him Lion Ryan.
Mhm, mhm.
He said that Travis confessed it. To him. Well, if you have the evidence that Travis is saying it, bring it out. You know,
So, do you believe that Travis told the truth? Do you believe
I
that
believe Travis
Travis?
believes what he believes. Um, I believe they were okay. Kenny Peterson, Alan Dallas, Dwayne Smith, and me all believed it was waiting for us. This was a craft. This was no alien. This was from the government, man. I'm telling you, it's from the government. There was no aliens. And then the, the only person they could get out of the truck was Travis. He's the weakest link. He's the only one they could get him out. It was mind controlled. That's why Travis believes why he believes. Because they mind controlled him. You know,
So, do you
that's what
think?
I'm sticking with.
So you think this is mine? Do you think this was some sort of government experiment then?
Yeah, yes. I mean, look how Mike acts now. He's really going off the rocker. You know,
And let me ask you, back. Let's go back to when you had all of these things happen. I mean, like I said, you're 17. This is one of your first days on the job. You're being thrown into this, and then all of a sudden you've got, the wrath of God being brought down on you because you're being investigated. Your family's frightened. You're frightened. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you were implicated in a murder investigation, and I cannot imagine how traumatizing that was for you, the community, your family. And so, I mean, so you go through all of that. Did you ever feel like, I mean, who were the people that were looking from the outside in and trying to potentially steer your narrative? And do you,
everybody was trying to figure out what happened. Nobody, my family didn't believe him because it was Travis.
and
They
why
knew
didn't they
Travis,
believe?
and
And so why didn't they believe him because he was Travis?
I don't know. You have to ask them. No, I can't tell you everything.
Right, right,
I can't mention my family's name, man.
right, right.
They'll shoot me.
No, but you can, I mean, maybe you can give like, so your family doesn't believe him because he's Travis. You don't have to name family members, but what was that kind of the thought from your family as to why they potentially wouldn't trust him?
And plus, they didn't believe in UFOs anyway. They didn't believe, the aliens. It's the alien part that that throws people off. Okay, I mean, we just said we got sitting with a zap because I know people that believe me and John up to that point, but they don't believe it past that.
And so were you guys, and I was listening, like I said, to the interview I did, Scott Brown and I with Mike Rogers, and he was talking about the fact that a few days before this event took place, everybody was watching the Betty and Barney Hill story on TV. Did Travis have a love, to your knowledge, of the paranormal and UFO stories? And could there potentially be, and I'm just throwing this out here because
You
I
mean
know there.
was there a National Enquirer on our truck with the UFOs on it? No, that's not true.
Okay, so you don't think, So you don't think
But
there was.
they were talking about it the week before. Even Kenny brings it up in one of the interviews he's in, that he would talk about what would happen if he got, you know, got abducted by aliens.
So what was Kenny talking about then if he got abducted by aliens?
I don't
Because
know.
there was
I
that,
get to hang
you know what I
around with
mean?
them guys at lunch.
But you know what I mean? It's like, you've got that reward, and I, from other people that have known, or talked about that, I mean, would there be a potential that this could be such a good story that there could be the potential that there would be a reward because of a good story? What do you think? I mean, honestly, what do you think?
Do say it again now.
So there was the National Enquirer story. They offered a reward for a great story. Could there have been?
Well, National Enquirer was there the second night that he was missing. National Enquirer was there all the time for a while.
And so, isn't that weird though? There's a murder investigation, and the National
Huh?
Enquirer. So isn't that? I mean, to me, that seems really strange. So there's a potential murder investigation, and the second day, the National Enquirer is there. Why? Because most murder investigations, you wouldn't expect the National Enquirer to be there. Why? Why? That seems. I mean, do you think that seems
Because
strange?
it was the alien part.
Okay.
You know, it was the part that Travis was. They said we saw a UFO and getting zapped, and that's what it was. You know, that's what brung people there. That's what brings people to see Travis is, you know, uh, him getting taken by aliens, getting probed.
I mean, what do you like? Honestly, like right now, if I were to say, do you believe Travis was abducted by aliens? And I mean, what? Yes
I
or
don't
no?
believe in grays.
Okay.
No, this had nothing to do with aliens. And you're trying to get me. Um,
No, no, no. I'm wondering because I think that's like the question that's on all of our minds. I mean, it's like,
I've
is
never
it?
had. I didn't even know what an alien was until I didn't even know what the word ufology was until 12 years ago.
That's a good thing.
You know, until I got involved in all this, and I would have never done this if it wasn't for my daughter. She was 12 years old and she thought this was all cool. Because I went years without watching that movie. The first time I knew they made a movie, I was in a truck stop in Barstow, and there was Travis late at night on
Larry
HBO.
King on Larry wasn't he on Larry King, right?
Yeah, you know. Um, but I would have never came out. I would have never.
So what made you so you're I mean, you go years. I mean, you're off the radar. You don't want to deal with this, and I mean, I think that's a great thing. It's probably helped you have a good life until you got involved
Hey,
in
I
this
do have a good
again.
life. I've had a great
You
life.
do.
It's been a
Wonderful.
great adventure.
And
You
so
know,
now, you're
most of
walking
these
in.
people, what people are seeing is evil. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with because I've been from Alaska, Canada, all the states except Hawaii because there's not a bridge there, all the way to Mexico City in my lifetime in a big truck. And most of this was before 9/11. After 9/11, everything changed. But um um, and I've seen some stuff, and I don't believe it's aliens.
And so what do you think it is?
I was seeing this girl in Maine. Her name is Pam Lafredo. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. But anyway, we're hanging out at our house, right? And and this dark brown cloud came through the wall, and it crossed me, and it went out the window. Well, I didn't say nothing, you know. And she looked at me and she said, "Is that one of your friends?" I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "Yeah." So to me, this is from the devil. It ain't aliens, man. Uh,
And so, I
I
mean,
got on a train. I got on a train after that and went west. Go west, my son.
right.
Uh-uh.
And and so what happened, like, so you're 17. I want to go back to that because I think this is so important. So you're 17. When, like, what happened after everything died down? Like, where did you move? What happened to your mother? What happened to people
Well,
approaching
mom
you?
got married and moved back to Texas, and I got married and moved to Taylor. And when I was in Taylor, a cop named Jim Click came to the door, and and he said that Philip Glass offered me some money if if I can prove this is a hoax or say it was a hoax or and well I need a beer. Um, I didn't know who Philip Glass was. I thought he was just another news reporter, and I never saw a picture of Philip Glass until 2000. Whenever when I broke my neck, 2010, when my brother bought us a computer and taught us how to, you know, because when I broke my neck, I had to do something at the house, and that was about the first time I ever seen a picture of Philip Glass. Well, he, I just told the cop, well, I thought I was in trouble again. But after that, we moved to Texas. And when I was in Texas, uh, he he kept calling me, and for years I couldn't figure out how he found me because my name is, everybody goes by Steve Pierce, right? Well, in 2010, I broke out the polygraph tests that are on the internet now. I noticed that it has my whole name. It doesn't just say Steve Pierce; it says the whole thing. So I figured out that's how Philip Glass was finding me is because he had a copy of the polygraph test and he knew my name because when I was living in Texas, you got when you buy back then you had home phones, you didn't have cell phones, and so you had to use your name because you had to use your driver's license, you know, you know how it is. So and then they had your name in a phone book and stuff, and I guess that's how he found me.
Interesting.
And then he tried hunting down my brother in Arizona and call him. I don't know how he found them because they had nothing to do with it. And uh, telling my sister-in-law that tell him I gave him $10,000 to say it was a hoax. He haunted me for a long time.
And didn't, I mean, what did you think of him? Because you know, I've talked to
He's
a
a
lot of,
nice guy.
okay,
He was a nice guy until you mentioned Travis, and then he went off the deep end.
why do you think he went off the deep end?
I don't know. He just didn't believe Travis's story. I guess I know a lot of people. I got a neighbor. I told him about me being on the Travel Channel. They ain't talked to me since
Why?
because of the alien story. You don't know how people are going to react when you tell them the story. I'm telling you. One time, when I first came out, I was single, right? And I was seeing this girl, and that's back when me and Travis was getting along, and I met this girl, and she didn't know the story until one night we were drinking, and she wanted to talk to Travis, right? So I called Travis, hey, she wants to talk to you. Well, she was drunk and she just went off on him, calling him every name in the book, calling him a liar. This didn't this didn't happen, you know. So you never know what people are going to say. I was in a conference with John, and some people came up to me and told me that this was all evil. I'm going to die and go to hell. you know. So you never know.
No, you don't, and that is the interesting thing, and I'm sure, like I said there, I'm sure over the decades, there have been different people that have approached you that have tried to say maybe this is the devil or angels or and even with, all the people that were there in the truck that night, everybody has completely differing opinions on what took place. I mean, how many people that were in the truck actually believe Travis was abducted by aliens?
Now, well, I'm not sure about Mike. Mike keep changing his mind. Um, John will believe it till the day he dies. You'll never change John's mind. Never. He'll he'll he'll, he'll back me up when it comes to Mike telling those lies in the book. But as far as Travis goes, he'll never change. He'll stick to that until he believes Travis.
And so tell us, let's talk about the book then. Again, because you wanted to come out and do one last interview. Like what are the driving points that you wanted to make about all of
I just
that?
want the book changed. And tell the story. Once Travis asked us what happened, and then um, uh, 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 just like when Mike was telling the story about um, the hard hats, you know, the day this happened, the sheriff he was looking for radiation too. He had the same thing, He had everything out there that he knew at the time, you know what I mean? And he couldn't find nothing. He couldn't even find the tire marks. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But anyway, he when he talked to my mom, he told her, he said, "We can't find nothing out here, not a thing. We can't even prove if something happened or something didn't happen. You know, uh, there's no proof of anything." So that's the reason they gave us the polygraph test because they couldn't find no evidence. There was nothing out there to one way or the other. So that's when they said, "Well, we're gonna have to take the polygraph test."
And so the radiation. I mean, you've got the obviously the pictures with the hard hats. I mean, what
I
was
think that's
what
made
was the
up too.
story with that? Yeah, right.
Because he says some guy came out of the bushes and or whatever, and they checked his hard hats, and then they just disappeared. Well, if he had radiation on his hard hat, don't you think he would have went over and told Gillespie, "Hey, look what we just found."
Right.
You know, I mean, that'd be the first thing I'd be doing is running to Gillespie and say, "Hey, they found radiation on it. Get your boys on this." But as
Right.
far as I know, he Gillespie didn't find anything.
And that is interesting. Radiation is used time and time again for some of these UFO reports. Specifically, I'm thinking about Skinwalker Ranch and the claims of radiation, which is really fascinating. But I mean, where are you now? Like, why do you want to be done with this? Are you just over it? Like, what are
I'm
your
tired of arguing with people, and I'm 64 years old. You know, I don't care anymore. I just want the book changed. And if they don't change it, that's fine because you got this right here. Because this right here is going to stay on my wall, and I'm telling all you guys goodbye because I don't care. I don't care if you believe him. I don't care if you believe me. You know. So
what has this done to your life?
done to my life,
I mean,
it totally,
I
it
mean,
totally screwed it up for some reason. If I could prove that this was a 100% hoax, Travis and Mike wouldn't exist. Hey, this has put me through hell. Like they give a shit. Travis ever asked me, "Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing through all this?" No, they've never. You know, all they're doing is running to the bank. This is what we can do this time. You know, you know. I think that's why Mike shut up now because someone paid him off.
And so was there ever any attempt over the years to touch base with you and see how you were doing or anything, or did you just kind of feel like
No, just John. Me and John are really close. And I was texting Kenny for a while, but he stopped. So I don't know Kenny. I've never met I met him at work, but that was as far as it went. You know, as far as Mike goes, I knew him from his house. From going over there, going to work. I didn't know Travis. Everybody else knew him up there. I was the new guy. Everybody else knew who they were.
and so how much contact did you have with any of those guys after the that all took place?
Nothing.
Okay.
Um, there's two pictures of us that one of us all together, and there's another one that the separate one we're wearing the hard hat. And those were the last time I seen Travis.
Okay. And that's, I mean, and yeah, thank you. I mean, that is really interesting because I would definitely say that people probably got the impression that you guys were a much tighter knit community and things like that. And so just to just to talk about that, I think is very fascinating.
Hang on for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was getting warm.
Oh, look at you now. Yes, the hat's come off.
Okay, what was it now?
Well, no, I'm just saying that I think a lot of people got the impression that all of you were kind of this close knit community. You had this sighting. People were subjected to polygraph tests. All of you have, and people have said over the years that you guys have made money, hand over fist with all of this, and people are changing stories and yada yada yada. I mean, what would you say to the critics that are saying you guys have changed your stories and you've made a lot of money over this?
uh, uh, I haven't made hardly anything off of this, you know. But I think that's what it's all about money to them guys. But I still get nervous.
But you know what? I
Okay,
want to
go on.
thank you.
What?
No, but I
Huh?
mean, like, I just, again, I want to like thank you. I want to thank you for reaching out to me, and I want to thank you for talking about this because I know it's not, none of this is easy, and this has been a majority of your life. And I cannot imagine at the age of 17 to have to deal with people coming knocking on your door and frightening you and your
Oh man, the
mom. And
5 days that he was gone, they tried to get through the window,
tell
trying to
me
get
about,
take pictures and stuff. Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about that.
it was
Talk about
bad.
that.
5 days he was gone was really bad.
So talk about that, please.
They 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 thought we killed him. The whole town thought we killed him. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so again, I want to thank everybody out there for listening to the show and supporting UFO Classified. I think this is a very an important interview, and I want to thank Steve. I want to thank you for being here. And so, and I know that this is emotional, and I'm sorry for that, but I want your story as a young 17-year-old to be remembered because again, like I said, you were there, your family was frightened, your mother was frightened, you had no idea what was going on, and here you are. And so 5 days, describe those 5 days.
The most scariest 5 days of my life. Uh, the day that I really got worried about it when I saw Flake. I was walking towards Circle K and he pulls up. Well, he turns around, so he gets side where the window is, so we're facing each other. And he told me, he says, you might as well admit it, tell us what happened because you guys are going to take a polygraph test. And this is the first time I heard about the polygraph test. And um, he says, well, if you tell us what happened now, because we know you didn't kill him. Well, we think it's John or Alan Dallas. killed him, and y'all are covering it up for some reason. And I told him it was the truth. He said, well, if you change your mind, let me know before Monday because y'all are going to be taking a polygraph test. And then that's when I found Alan, and Alan already knew about it too. And he told me, they're going to strap us down. And that's when his mother said that uh, they're going to make it look like we're guilty. That's the reason Alan took his stuff off. And um, it was funny. Travis's brother, I think his name was Dwayne. Him and Alan Dallas, as soon as they would see uh, a news crew pull up, they would run people over, get in front of the camera. And that picture you see me wearing the glasses, that's taken from a distance because I'm walking away from them. And the guy with the camera jumped out and took my picture because I'm trying to get away because for a long time I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Talking about it.
I can't, I mean, it's so, I mean, we're like in that 5 days, were any of you in contact?
Do what?
In the 5 days that all of this happened, when Travis was gone, were the rest of you in contact at all?
Um, I try to stay away from them. I did see him. Um, I saw Alan mostly. He's the one that told me that National Star was at the motel room, wanted to talk to me, like the second or third night that Travis was missing. And um, and as far as John and them, I didn't know them. No, I didn't see. I don't remember seeing John again until at the courthouse. I mean, I've seen him around, you know, but we try to stay away from each other. And my mom's, I was really trying to keep an eye on me so I don't take off, because I was about to bolt.
And what were your thoughts? I mean, you wanted to bolt, like, why? Because you were just so frightened and you didn't know how things were going to turn out?
I thought that we were going to go to jail for murder. I thought that, as soon as they started talking about a polygraph test and Alan Dallas's mom said they're going to make it look like it was a hoax. I mean, we're going to flunk the polygraph test, and that had me worried. Yeah.
And so at 17 years old, you thought you were going to go to jail for murder. And I can't imagine how frightening that was. And so you think that, and then Travis reemerges alleging that he was abducted by UFOs. I mean, like honestly, what went through what went through your mind when you had been through when you'd been through
he,
all of
he,
that?
he, he must have some good weed that night. I don't know. That was a joke because I've never seen Travis smoke. I've never seen Travis drink a beer. I've never seen Travis do anything. So he like I said, when Travis showed up, everybody else left. So I don't know if he smokes, drinks, or whatever he does. I've never been invited to his house. I was told once not to come.
But I mean, that just I guess I'm just like trying to go back to you being 17 years old and having the weight of the world come down, on all of you, and being implicated in murder. That's not a small thing. That's something that's life changing. And you've got all these people coming in and administering polygraphs, and then all of a sudden it's aliens. I mean, how I mean, I all I can say is I'm sorry that you had to go through that. That's too much. That is too much for a 17-year-old to have to go through.
Yeah, see, that's why. Uh, yeah, it was hard. It's been hard too. A lot after the book came out, the first one, not that one. There was a smaller one. The book got bigger as Travis's head got bigger, and um, my uncle got a hold of the book, and I'm living in Texas, and I came out to visit him, and he says, "Hey, this book says you're a pussy," you know. I said, "Wait, the stuff in that book didn't happen, you know. Well, it's written in the book. We're 30 years. I put it with that, and then the last time I saw him, my daughter was like 12 years old. I took her down there and show her the site and everything, and um, we got into it, and he said it was the tower, and um, we're all lying. He called me names because he said I cried like a baby in the book, and that didn't happen. And John will tell you, John will tell you exactly what happened. And um, so, yeah, I got a lot from my family over this. They didn't trust me after this, and it got worse. But it got better. Truck driving saved my life.
And so tell us, I mean, tell me about like so you started truck driving and then what else happened? Like where did you go in your life? I know that you went to Skinwalker Ranch, which I think is really interesting and we need to talk about.
You want to talk about Skinwalker
Oh,
Ranch?
let's talk about Skinwalker Ranch. Of course I do.
uh, they ain't no aliens there, that's for sure.
Well, we know that, but I mean, so I want
They ain't no UFOs there.
to. Well, we know that, but how did you get involved with Skinwalker Ranch?
Um, I got a phone call one time, and they told me if I went up there and took some pictures for them, that they would pay for it. You know, they would pay me for the pictures. Well, I did my job with them and sent them pictures, and then I got really, I don't know what the word is, really fascinated by this place. Okay, and the more I read about it, and the more I was there, because I've been there like 30 times, and I've camped out there. I've been chased off Skinwalker Ranch twice with two different women, two different wives,
Oi.
and um, uh, I was on the property. I made friends with this guy that said he knew the property, so we got on there uh, and I couldn't find anything, nothing. But there is one spot on the property that your hair on your arms will rise, you know, and I do have a picture of something, but I can't tell exactly what it is. I believe this is evil. I believe in skinwalkers. I believe that, you know, and that's that's evil. It's the devil. You can change So I don't believe this has anything to do with UFOs or you know a portal. There's no portal on there, man. There ain't no. I'm going to another universe. I'll be back.
Oh, come on now. There, yeah, I mean, yeah. And so like yeah, I mean, trust me, we can hear that, but I mean, so like what year was that when you got kind of involved in looking at Skinwalker Ranch?
um, 2010, 11, 12.
Okay. So
And
that
let's see.
was back in the Bigelow days, right?
Yeah, back when Bigelow owned it. Yeah, Bigelow owned it. I haven't been there since my late wife died, and she's been dead for 5 years now. This past month, so it's been 5 years since I've been there. So that's about the last time I was there. But there's nothing there. I'm not buying the TV show. I've never watched it. I won't watch it. I done been there. There's a couple other places I'm checking out too, but I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
Hey, I've been looking for answers my whole life. You know, when I was on the road, I looked. I, you know, I've been looking for answers, but I don't. I just don't believe in grace. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't believe that you can um, vibrate through walls. You know, you know, if you're seeing something come through a wall, it's possessed or evil or good. Or, something dead. You know, so something spiritual. But that's just that's that's just what I believe.
And so, I mean, what other experiences have you had throughout your life? I mean, so you were, I mean, like I said, 17 years old. That is such a young age to have to deal with all of this stuff and to get thrown into, a murder investigation and then alien abductions and all of this stuff. I mean, so you kind of left and moved away. Like what? How did your family and your loved ones deal with all of this after kind of the
After
fallout?
I moved to Texas,
Yeah.
we never talked about it. I when Philip Class called, but that's about it. But I never told my family about anything. Um, I just didn't talk about it. I went years without talking about this.
Did you think
When I
about it?
drove a truck, I used my first name, so you know, so I wouldn't have to deal with it.
Were you frightened because of the stigma of the UFO thing, or were you just kind of just wanted to? It was just. I mean, why? Why did you not want to deal with it?
Back then, uh, well, people treated us really bad after this. They laughed at us. They thought it was a joke. You couldn't get a job, and that's probably one of the reasons I moved to get away from all that. I tried for a long time, and then when I started driving truck, I did get away from it. And then when I seen Travis um, at the truck stop on HBO, that was 2000. I mean, not 2000, 93 or 94 or something like that. I still didn't see the movie until 2010, 11, and then I didn't see it all the way through until a few months later. I've watched more stuff the last couple of months than I have in my whole life about Fire in the Sky. I've watched every one of these shows, and I've watched all kinds of other people's stuff, and and there's one thing they all got in common. You know what it is?
No.
They ain't got no proof.
Good point. Good point. Good one. Good one. But I mean, that must have been. I mean, it's. I mean, I can't imagine like a whole life of trying to deal with this or trying to put it in perspective, trying to protect your family, trying to run away from this and trying to just have a normal life. And that in and of itself has taken a toll, I'm sure, on you.
I'm going to, if this is over, I'm going fishing.
You're going
I'm done
fishing?
with all this. I don't care if they change the book now or not. If you want to read my story, you can friend me and you can read it, you know. But I'm tired of arguing with people, and it just, you know, and I've never said, people attack me saying that I'm changing the story. I've never changed the story. I've always said the same thing over and over and over, you know. And they said, well, you don't believe Travis. Well, I'm not the only one that don't believe Travis, you know. I'm still saying that he got zapped. He got zapped by something. I don't know what it was. If it was a light, you know, that Charlie Weiser is saying that it was a tower and they had some spotlight to hit him. Well, he was still hit by a light, so Mm-mm. You think it's a tower?
I don't know. What do you think? You've been there. Your uncle was there. I mean, Gentry. What do you think that i- could this be a potential that Travis was so involved with the UFO thing and wanted the money from the National Enquirer that he went out there and kind of staged this, and everybody was, kind of fell into that.
I don't know. I always said I don't believe we were at the right place when we came back. And Travis said, yeah, I was wrong about everything. But even the place that they took me uh, last time I was there with Travis, um, it's just too close to the main road. I mean, it doesn't. I don't feel like that's the right place. But I don't know. Like everybody says, I was 17, so
And I mean, like honestly, okay. I mean, I'm taking all of this in because I can't imagine a life having to deal with this and having to try to change your name and having to try to stay out of the public eye and wanting to like have a normal life. I mean, how did you so you kind of disappeared. You had a normal life. When was this did you think about this on a daily basis or was this something that you could kind of block from your mind?
well, actually, um, when I got on the road, I forgot all about it until I saw Travis at the truck stop. I was a day and a half early for my load in Louisiana. After I saw that, I was, wow, they made a movie about us, man. Wow. And then what really tripped me out when I first came out, because of Facebook and all that, and uh, I never knew there was a world out there like this, ufology, all these people, and there's a lot of those people out there. I mean, they something. They're worse than the women at a football field, a mom at a football game, man.
I mean, what I mean, like, yeah, and I remember meeting you in, gosh, where were we? We were outside of St. George, Utah, and Travis was speaking at a conference, and you were there. And it was just very interesting to see, the dynamic and things, and that must have been very interesting and awkward for you to be at a conference, with him and just not trying to figure out what was going on.
The one in Utah, you were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That was weird. Some woman came up to me and asked me. I was up. How they had that big old screen up front.
Yeah.
And there was a hamburger place behind it. You know, and there was There's some chairs right in there. I was sitting there and smoking a cigarette, and some woman came up and says, "Can I have a drag off your cigarette so I can have your DNA?" Now you take this way too far.
Oh my God.
I didn't mind signing the boobs.
Wow. Oh my God. Leaf Garrett has nothing on the UFO
hey,
scene.
hey, me and Travis was doing this one show in New Mexico, and and there was this lady there. She was uh, most of the people there were natives, because it was um, Gallup or something. Not Gallup, but I don't know, some town in New Mexico. Um, and we was at this auditorium, and we're up there talking, and this lady, she was drunk. She's drunk, man. She jumped up and she started cussing us out, calling us all kinds of names. And finally they told her to sit back down. She got back up, and finally they had to haul her out of there. I'm telling you, you don't know how people are going to react. Sometimes I don't even want to tell people.
Well, I mean, as you know, it's an interesting crowd, and I think that it was really funny. I'll have to try to find some of the pictures that I have of you and Travis and things at that event because I mean, it was a beautiful event, and I really loved the fact that we were putting that on in southern Utah, and things, but I mean, it's just so interesting. It's interesting to see the dynamics. It's interesting to see what people are putting forward. And I think for me, and I want to ask you how you feel like when somebody is claiming they were abducted by aliens and they are receiving messages, and then you have a whole other group of people that could potentially think that they're being given messages and that they're special, chosen, and these people might not be necessarily mentally all there. I mean, what do you think the ramifications are, or are there any for uh, people that are promoting abduction stories?
You mean the ones that are lying? Just to go out there? It makes the ones that are telling the truth that you know, look, that's why people don't believe in these because they got so many people out there just making stories up, and you know, there's a couple of people out there, I believe.
And who do you think? I mean, who would, if you were to tell people to, like in the community, like to watch out for specific people who are giving out fake information or questionable information, what would be your input?
Do what now?
So if you were to, because you've had firsthand experience with this, if you were to tell other people, new people getting involved in this subject, how would you caution them to look for people that are
What would I tell them?
right, right?
Who you gonna call? Not MUFON.
Well, why is that?
I don't like MUFON. I've heard
Any
too many war stories about them.
well, you've got to go into a little more detail though.
They take their information, they don't give it back, and you know, I wouldn't call anybody. If you seen something, I'd keep it to yourself.
And why? Why would you keep it to yourself? What do you think about MUFON? Elaborate on that.
Because you got to put up with all this. It's not really worth it. I mean, there's only a few people out there that's actually making any money off of ufology, and I don't know. Maybe I should come up tonight, tomorrow, and say I got I got zapped last night and went through the walls, and I believe now. Mm.
And so, okay, and I've got to ask you because I've got so many questions for you. And I'm like, thank you so much for coming on the show and being just open to talk about things. I know none of this is easy, and you've had a whole life full of this. But I mean, what were you, going back to after all of this happened, were you approached by other people over the decades that wanted to try to get you back into the subject?
Through the decades,
Hmm.
yeah, I was out of this for time I got in that truck for all those years. I never talked about this, and the first person that I ever talked about it was David Sinet, and he's the one that introduced me to ufology, you know, and all these crazy people that follow it, you know. But I'm not going to give nobody any kind of advice what to do, and don't send me. Some guy sent me a picture. I mean, you could tell it was fake, you know. Don't send me pictures. Hey, this is what happened to me with a fake picture, because I'm not even going to read the story if I can't get past the picture.
And so, like, what? So this is your last interview. What do you feel? What do you want people to remember? How can we learn from your story that has been decades in the making?
What can you learn from my story?
Yeah.
Never be people in ufology. I don't know. There's nothing to learn from my story.
I think there is.
You think so?
I do.
Well, it just makes me mad that that they're not telling the story the right way. The 5 days they were gone. I mean, I'm in six different. My name is mentioned in six different paperback books, right? And not one of them stories is right.
So
you
go
know,
through that. Go
and,
through
and,
go through
and
each. I mean, so in each paperback book, go through why the story isn't right.
what happened? What happened?
So yeah, I mean, why aren't the stories right that have
Well,
been
told you about the um uh um the when we took the polygraph test,
right?
we
Right.
had to draw straws. That's in
Okay.
the book. That didn't happen.
Okay.
There's a few other things in that book that didn't happen.
Okay.
You know, and I can't say what Travis did past the 5 days. That has nothing to do with me. It's the 5 days that we were all together and Travis was gone that I want changed, but they're not going to change it. Travis don't like me anyway. I've been teasing him too long, too long. Uh-uh.
And so, what's the last conversation that you had with him?
Well, but back before uh, uh, they were cell phones, we had home phones, and he's recorded a lot of my messages I've left him. Because other people have heard it, and I've called him every name in the book except the white boy. Oh, he's made my life hell. Now he won't change the book because he likes it the way it is. And if you think about it, you know why.
A bit elaborate. He's made your life hell. Why?
It doesn't really matter. But you know, and Mike, John says uh, Travis was misinformed. Okay, that's just how John Goulet puts it. Travis was misinformed, and Mike told him all the stuff that didn't really happen. You know, and um, so who knows? But I don't believe him. I don't believe you know, he was abducted by aliens, by Grays.
So, what was his motivation, though? Money? Or, I mean, I don't mean to lead
Travis,
you. I'm just like, I just, what was his motivation?
Travis, same as Mike's. That it's all about money, I guess. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't talk to him anymore. And that new show that came out that kind of pissed me off because there was a couple lies in that sucker. You know,
So,
instead of
expand
telling
on
Mike's,
that.
huh?
So, to talk a little bit more about the new show that came out and a couple of the things that bothered you.
They're just small things. It really doesn't matter. I mean, except for uh, uh, Travis's brother saying that he saw the gauge go off with the uh, um, it cracked me up. He says my mom came home and said they got him. He's watching way too much Fire in the Sky because that's what I said. Yeah, you watching way too much. Mm.
And I have to ask you, like, so where were you? What happened when you watched Fire in the Sky for the first time?
I had just broken my neck, and my neck's all bolted together. The three, four, five, six, seven vertebrae, they're all it's all metal in there. And we were sitting at home, and I got the movie, and I told Stevie that hit the guy, the Henry Thomas, the little boy who plays ET. He plays my part in the movie, and well, you know how 12-year-olds are. She wanted me to get a hold of Travis, and um, so that's how it all started. But she's an adult now, so I'm done with it. Mm.
But I mean, what I mean, like, just like, I mean, explain your emotions though when you were watching that? I mean, like fire in the sky. Obviously, we've heard from Travis that the
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 first time
way
I almost broke the TV the first time. That's how mad I was when I first watched it. John, I don't think he's even finished it.
and did they consult you for any of that?
It's all it's I don't know. You know, the closest one is Paranormal Witness on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's the closest one I've found. And the last one, it's all about Travis and UFOs and but it's funny. I was talking to Mike's ex-wife and John's sister, and there's a part in there in the new one that Mike's other sister said that I think it was a sister. I've never met this woman. Said they were making a quilt the night that Mike got home. They weren't making no quilt. Uh, uh, um, when Mike when went with the cops with the other two guys, when me and John and Dwayne came back to Snowflake, John is the one that told his sister that what was going on. You know, Mike's not the one that told her. John's the one that told her because Mike hadn't even got there yet. So that part, I don't know why she put that in there, but and there's a couple other ones, but it ain't no big deal. I mean, besides, people are going to believe what they're going to believe anyway. You know, I I've gotten threatening emails, uh, nasty messages. Uh, you know. So
Talk
uh,
about that. Actually, talk about
huh?
that because I think that's really important. What kind of messages are you getting, and who have they been from?
Oh, they're mad because I don't stick with Travis's story. Hey, the last time I was on the internet with my laptop, this thing that pops up and it says, "We know who you are." Hello. It ain't been back on.
So when did that start happening?
um, them really watching me.
Well, I mean, just people like harassing you. Yeah, when did that?
Um, nobody really harasses me. You know, I'm a pretty good sized guy. So people don't, they don't, people don't harass me. But I don't know if it was the cops or the feds or what. But even after this happened, I guess you guys call them the Men in Black. uh, they followed us around for a while. Even John will tell you about that.
Okay, okay, so okay, go into detail about that. I want to know about
Huh?
that. What Go into detail about that. When did that happen?
Um, about the time that the 5 days that Travis was missing,
Hmm.
there was people that show up um, and you call them Men in Black now. I didn't know what to call them back then, but they were watching us. A lot of people watched us for a while, and then um, when I went on the road, you know I just left it all behind.
And then when did you start receiving like the online harassment?
Um, I've got that off and on through the years because I've had the same you know email since I came out. Um, I was in in Las Vegas, and there's a truck stop there, Love's, on the north side of it, and I was there getting fuel, and you know how you go through the canyon.
Mhm.
St. George and everything.
Yep.
Well, I was heading to Provo, and I noticed there was a black car behind me. And well, when I got through the canyon, like um, they passed me, right? So I got through the canyon and everything. You know where the scale is, right?
Mhm.
When you cross into Utah.
Yep.
Well, I crossed the border entry, and that's back when they had that 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 rest area right there on the
Mhm.
side, but it's not there no more. Uh, well, when I passed that, the black car got behind me again, and uh, I got through St. George. I got through, what is it, Washington? What's the next name? It's Washington, ain't it? And
Oh
before
my
you start
gosh.
climbing the hill,
I think
and
so.
then when I got into Cedar City, they're behind me still. So finally, I just pulled over at the next rest area on the other side of on the other side of Cedar City, and got out and see what the problem was. And it was two women just laughing their asses off. Well, the one that was driving, I didn't know, but the one on the passenger side, uh, I knew her from a truck stop in Provo, and she knew the story. And she said she saw us. She saw me at the truck stop, and she said told her friend, let's 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 mess with this guy. So
Wow.
they follow me in their black car, man.
Oh, mama. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Huh?
yeah, yeah. Mama.
Mm.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you've had that type of thing happen, but then I really want to, like ask because the online harassment and people like sending you messages and things and I mean, what was it like? What were some of the most disturbing messages that you received online?
Well, when I tried to send something to them back, it didn't go anywhere. You know, um, I don't know. It doesn't bother me because um, most people just all talk anyway. You know, and nobody knows where I live. I make sure of that, and and I'm just going to stay out of the public's eye and go fishing.
And you've got like a really cool car that your truck. You work on your truck, right?
Uh-huh.
Tell
Yeah,
tell me about your truck.
my pickup.
Yeah.
It's just a pickup. It's just an old Ford, like I am, just an old
Oh, come
man.
on, come on. I love old Fords. I have a
Uh,
'65 Ford
uh.
Galaxy.
So, have you been to
So
Skinwalker Ranch?
have I? Yes.
How many? When since the new people took it over, or the last one?
Oh, since the new people took it over, I was there when the last people had it. I like for me, I've this is my home. And so I've done a lot of research and I've done a lot of interviewing witnesses time after time and going up to the University of Utah Library and looking at Frank Salisbury's collection. I mean, I've probably done more research on that ranch than most people
So have I.
alive. You know,
I've done a lot. I've done a lot. What do you? The people saying that things are coming out of the Salt Lake. What do you believe that?
no,
Have
no.
you ever seen anything come out of the Salt Lake?
You know what? I mean, I think that I've seen things that I can't explain, and that's what keeps me motivated. It's like I don't know what this is, but the more I learn and dig into things and see people's narratives, especially people with a lot of money who have a need to promote a specific narrative, the more I my hackles, just kind of I mean, I think it's shady. So there is something worthy of study. What it is, I don't know, but I can tell you that it has nothing to do with Skinwalker Ranch. And I can say that again, if you're willing to put things forward and you're saying this is scientific data, then show us the data. And they can't. It's just like with Skinwalker Ranch, the show. Even though I will say that I probably boosted their ratings a lot because I'm telling everybody to watch it, but it's like here you've got an obscured camera, even though this is the most paranormally studied place on the planet, and then they've got reservation dogs coming in and killing baby alpacas because clearly they thought this was like a cool thing. Hey, let's bring in baby animals. Let's see them die on a camera. I mean, it's crap. And so, I mean, what do you think about that? Those are my thoughts.
But what now?
Well, just about Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, I mean, obviously you talked
I
about it. You said
believe
there was nothing
it's all
there.
about money.
Okay.
I don't think there's nothing there. There's no UFOs there. There's no, you know, portal or whatever, you know, what people think they no. I believe this has had something to do with the Utes and the Navajos and it's an Indian legend and that's what it is, you know. Because if, tell me if I'm wrong or not, but the Utes used to kidnap the Navajo, right, and bring them up there and use them as slaves. And then the Navajos are the ones that believe in the skinwalkers. They curse this land, you know, to be evil. Am I right?
Well, that is the story.
So it doesn't have anything to do with UFOs, you know. I believe in skinwalkers, but skinwalkers are down farther south, down to the Four Corners area, you
You would
know.
think. And so why would, and I have to ask you, like, over the years, because this is my own, you know, selfish thing here, but like over the years, were you approached by Bigelow or by George Knapp or by any of the people that were promoting some of these ideas?
No, after me and Travis got into it, he burned all the bridges. I mean, he made sure that I didn't go anywhere after, you know, for a while. Um, a couple of people told me, well, if you come, Travis won't come. So, you know, so for a long time, and then, and the one in Cedar City,
Mhm.
is that where we're at?
Yep, yep.
Uh, that's, I was invited by, you know, it had nothing to do with Travis. So that's the reason I guess I ended up going. But no, for a long time, Travis wouldn't go anywhere with me.
Why do you think that is?
Huh?
Why do you think that is?
Because I wouldn't go, you know, play his little game, go by the book. Last time I talked to Mike, Mike told me, he says, if we can get something going, if you just go by the book, you know. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going by the book, you know. So I don't care if I see either one of these guys again the rest of my life. And just like uh, the last show that we were on, you know, if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't have been on that show. Travis never got a hold of me. Mike never got a hold. And they know my email.
And
And
so
John's the one that told him, so, well, if you want me, you're going to have to go to Steve's house and we'll meet you there. You know, that's how that's how it all started. That's how I got on the program. And then they didn't say anything I said. They just cut little pieces off and put it wherever they thought they needed to put it. You know, some of that stuff that they put, I didn't say it at that time. I said it somewhere else. You know, so that's why I don't believe nobody's story anymore. Nobody, because it's so easy to fix something up. You know, like the conversation with Mike and Lion Ryan. Do you believe that? Have you heard the
yeah.
Mike saying it was a hoax?
Yep.
You believe that Mike actually said it was a hoax?
You know what? Actually, I do because I've heard the whole conversation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you believe that it isn't a hoax?
I don't know. I want to know how he found out about the tower in the first place.
Yeah. I
You
think
know,
from my
haven't you
understanding,
talked to him?
yes, yes. And
Has he
and for,
started? Has he started his tour yet? He wanted me to join his little thing. You know, come on out here and say it's a hoax, and we'll get a tour going. We can tell everybody that you know, it was a tower.
So do you, but I mean, so this is, so okay, at the end of the day, this is your last interview and you're going to be done. And I hope, like, I honestly, I, at some point in time, I want to be done with this too because it's so draining and there's so many other things in life to enjoy.
That's what I'm
What,
going to do.
and so what is your, what is your message about all of this? Like, what do you want people to remember you for with regard to the Travis Walton abduction case?
What do you want me people to remember me for?
What do you, I mean, what is your legacy?
Wow. Um, I don't know. That's a hard question. But it's been a good life. I've had a good ride. Some of it's been kind of weird.
Would you change anything that's happened
In my life,
with
no. I would keep it the way it is. I would, if I changed something, something would never happen. You know. So no, I'm not sorry for the things I did. A couple of the things I did, I'm not gonna never apologize for it because if you read my story, you
yep.
know, and um, but as far as telling people, this is true, you're gonna have to make your own mind up on that. You know, I'm sure Charlie Weiser's watching this really quick, really closely, and thinking, "Come on, say it's a hoax." But there's one thing that hangs on the polygraph test. If you can tell me how he passed the polygraph test, because the fourth question does say, "Did you see a UFO?" And we passed it.
But he did fail a couple other polygraph tests. I mean, do you, at the end of the day, like, do you believe he was abducted by ET?
Travis?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe me.
Okay.
I believe it has something to do with the government. I believe, Kenny believes this too. They were sitting there waiting for us. They knew we were there, you know. So I don't know if it's a hoax. It's just been through my head over and over, especially the last few months. And if it was a hoax, it was a good one
And so
because
why,
they fooled a lot of people, huh?
and so why do you, I mean, why, so you're coming forward and this is your last interview. What is the most important thing for you to share so you can have kind of a cathartic moment and then be done and go enjoy your life?
Yeah, I've had a good life, man.
You
I
have, I
don't
mean,
I don't understand
absolutely.
what you want me to say.
No, I just you've told me that this was your last interview, you know, and that you want to kind of walk away from this. And I think about that in my own perspective. And it's like every day I'm like, okay, I'm done with this subject. I've had too much to deal with and I just want to walk away. But if, you know, if that's what you want to do, how, where are you going to go now? And, you know, again, like what is your, what are your, what are your
I'm
thoughts?
very interested in graveyards, and
Ooh,
there's a couple of things I've been checking out, and
cool.
if I ever come back on the air, it won't be have anything to do with you know with Travis Walton. It's going to be my own thing, and yeah, you'd be surprised what I've came up with. This is not aliens, man.
So what do you think it is?
um,
Do you have any thoughts, feelings?
Fallen angels. I believe in the Bible, so I believe the fallen angels have something to do with this.
And so your mother, I mean, you grew up in a religious family. Were you Mormon?
No, I'm Pentecostal.
Okay,
I was married to a Mormon though. Great people.
absolutely. I'm Mormon. I, I grew up in Salt Lake, and yes, I am Mormon and things, and they're wonderful people with, yeah, from all religions and different beliefs, and so that is interesting. But I mean, I first of all, I just want to say thank
My
you.
daughter is related to Porter Rockwell.
Really,
Yeah, the
that's
baddest man
interesting.
that ever walked the earth.
Porter
He
Rockwell
likes,
was, yep,
you know, you hear these guys about Jesse James and Billy the Kid. They didn't compare to Porter Rockwell.
Porter Rockwell was one of a
Was
kind.
one bad dude, man.
He was, he was, he was.
Yeah, he
Absolutely. Oh
killed
my
a lot
gosh,
of people. And
he
they asked me one
was.
time, says, you feel bad about killing all these people? I says, I only killed people that deserved it.
Didn't I think Carl Malone did, if I'm not forgetting this, I think Carl Malone did a movie about Porter Rockwell.
Really? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think that was, I've got to go back and look at that. But yeah, Carl Malone from the Utah Jazz. I think there was
Oh, I
something.
remember.
Yeah, do you remember that? That could be
If I
interesting to
want to see a
watch.
movie about Porter Rockwell, I don't want the Mormons to have anything to do with it. It should be an outsider to do it, because then they would get the more. Because y'all would leave stuff out, man.
Come on
Like
now.
what
What?
Brigham about Brigham Young's how about Brigham Young's son getting killed in the bar? You know, you
Dang.
didn't know that.
I did not know that, actually.
And I heard Brigham Young and Porter Rockwell, they were mean to people, outsiders.
Right.
I'm not talking about the people in the church. If you hurt anybody in the church, they would come after you. You know,
That
but
he,
he was an outlaw.
he was. And so, okay, so I'm just going to say this is your last show about Travis Walton, but would you come back and talk about your ghosts and cemeteries and different things?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You just can't bring Travis or Fire in the Sky involved.
I
You
won't.
can't
I won't.
introduce you can't introduce me as the guy from Fire in the
Nope.
Sky.
Nope. Okay, so hold up the book and say you're done with it. I'm just, you know.
Bye.
Okay.
Remember, some of this in here isn't true. If you want to know what really happened,
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna open that all up so everybody can see it. You know, the book, what I wrote.
Okay.
Right now, only my friends can see it. But well,
Well,
anyway, thank you for
thank
having
you.
me.
No, thank you. Thank you for being so candid
I
about
hope you're not
everything. And
disappointed.
no, are you kidding? This was great. You look
I
great.
don't know if this is true or not, people. People keep say it's a hoax. Um, you know, I don't, I don't.
You know
If it
what?
was, it was.
You have been
I'm just as confused as you are.
right. Well, I mean, and like I said, you were 17, and everything that you had to deal with decade after decade. I mean, it's been a big ride. And so I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your stories and just being candid about your thoughts and feelings, and I appreciate that. And I know a lot of other people do too. So thank you for doing that. And I look forward to talking to you about cemeteries, ghosts, maybe some other creepy things.
Yeah, I got some good stuff I can show you.
Okay. I would
I'll
like
come
that.
back on for that.
Okay. Let's do it. Thank
Well,
you
thank
so much.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care, and I want to just say thanks all of you who are listening to the show and who care, and go to ufoclassified.com to contribute to the show, and thanks. That was just an amazing interview, you guys. Steve Pierce, that was wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. So have a wonderful weekend, and I'm glad that the whole broadcast went without a hitch, we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, thanks, Phil. Thanks, Lord Ludicrous. All of you guys, thank you. And I will catch you guys next week.